People trust in teachers. They really do. Teaching is second only to nursing in public esteem.
How do teachers learn to balance their role model status with their personal lives in everyday life?
Your sense of your professionalism in relation to behaviours like this is emerging. You know, it's not a fixed point. You suddenly become a professional on the day that you get QTS. It emerges. And of course, part of the way it emerges is that actually you're a community. You're a community of professional people who share values.
These newly qualified teachers from the University of Hertfordshire are discussing when teachers' behaviour could cross the line of what's acceptable to colleagues, pupils and parents. They're looking at 4 different scenarios: life outside school, extreme political views, using social media and flirtatious banter.
I mean, tell me what your views are on regularly getting drunk in pubs and clubs at weekends.
You're out enjoying yourself, even though, yeah, you could be seen by parents or other people, but you're at that time not being responsible for children. That's your job in school.
Parents are going to see and they will judge you, and that's just the way people are. And if you see your son's teacher drunk every Saturday night, they will pass judgment, whether it affects their teaching or not, and that will have an impact.
You'd need to protect your own reputation. And of course, it's not just your reputation. It's the reputation of your school, it's the reputation of your profession.
It's a bit of a difference between doing it and displaying it. Obviously, you can't be sitting there discussing what happens in schools. If a parent overhears that, then that's not a good thing. But if you're sitting there just having a quiet drink with your friends, they can still see that you're human.
You could be having a quiet drink, you could be drinking soft drinks, but if you've been seen out in a pub garden and you're there till 9:30 and a parent's seen you, they could then come into school, just playground, mum's talking or dad's talking, saying, saw them at the pub the other day, they were drinking loads. They could just exaggerate it completely.
These sessions are really fascinating. We come out to hundreds of universities and training centres at this time of year, talking to students who are about to graduate as teachers about how they perceive their sense of professionalism, how it emerges, and the tensions that they feel between their private and their professional lives. Their private behaviour somehow is under scrutiny in the same way as their professional behaviour is. They'll feel now that they're being seen as role models and that people have slightly different expectations of them. Not that anybody expects them to be saints or angels, but they are role models, and society expects that of somebody like a teacher. Becoming active in an extreme political party. If you're a good teacher, why is that anybody else's business?
Some parties don't demonstrate diversity and equality and things like that. So actually that sometimes might be affecting your professional practice.
As a teacher, you couldn't really be part of that because you're supposed to demonstrate equality to the children that you teach. And if you have those kind of views, how can you demonstrate equality? So
what was interesting was how the students immediately recognised that bringing their own political views, perhaps even into the staff room, but certainly into the classroom, was inappropriate.
If you work in a school nowadays, especially in the UK, it's such a diverse community. So if you have some extreme political values and you reject some children from ethnic minorities, I'm sorry, you're not doing a good job, because we're here to demonstrate good values and tolerance and integrity.
But do you think you could hold those private beliefs outside of school and come in and operate by professional values?
I think if it's so much within you, it will show up. I believe that if you have such strong values against some maybe ethnic minorities, it will show at some points. You can't really hide it. That's what I believe.
Is it the same if you've got strong religious beliefs? Do you think that's going to show through?
I have strong religious values, but even though I maybe don't say it really, but I think the way maybe I behave, or maybe I don't swear, or some people will come up to me and say, oh, you never swear, or why are you always doing this, why are you always doing that, and then I think it shows.
Would you accept that some people actually might object to your religious beliefs?
Yes, I will. I mean, we are Yes, of course, I'm very tolerant. That's my belief, but I'm not going to impose them on anybody.
But presumably you would say, I leave my religious beliefs outside the school gate and I come in and operate by professional values.
Yeah.
You don't think that's true with
Yes,
extreme political beliefs?
I do, but I don't know, I think somehow it shows. I mean, maybe in the staff room you will probably say something that will give out that there's something about this person. I think it will show. I think it will.
What about Facebook? No? You say no? Facebook is a very live issue for young teachers. And actually what they recognise fairly quickly is that it's a social network, and that there's the issue right from the beginning, that they don't have a social relationship with children. They have a professional relationship with their students and pupils.
You need to be really careful because there's a false sense of security, and people might feel comfortable to say something that they wouldn't to anyone else's face. So you want to make sure that the kids, you wouldn't give them that opportunity in the first place, and you wouldn't open yourself up to it either.
If anything does happen, you haven't got the school kind of network around you because it's outside, whereas if you keep it all within the school, they've got evidence of it, and it just keeps it all safer, I think.
Many teachers, out of the best of intentions and for educational reasons, will actually set up a Facebook page perhaps for a football team or a dance group, but they do that knowing the risks. If you're a good teacher, whose business is it if you network with pupils and students on Facebook on educational matters? Still shaking your head.
They usually talk about their personal lives, and like we've said before, people can take it the wrong way. You can go for just a polite drink, one glass of wine or a couple of glasses of Coke with your friends, but if you saw pictures on Facebook, you might think it's more than it was.
I think you've hit on a really interesting issue, and of course, what is Facebook? Facebook is a social network. There's your issue for a start off. You actually don't have a social relationship with these people, primarily, do you? You have a professional relationship. So there's a boundary there that you've confused. So, we wouldn't expect our doctor to poke us on Facebook, would we? Even if they stay away from Facebook completely, they will be challenged by other social contexts. For example, many teachers will live in small communities where the parents, the children, the students that they teach will also be their neighbours and even friends.
The issue of being in a child's house who is a student at the school often has arisen in my career so far. And generally, once the child's got over the shock of sort of, it's Mrs. Godwell, once they've got over that, then it's fine. And the next day they might sort of say, you were at my house last night. But they know that it's the friendship was there initially. And I wouldn't dream of sort of falling over drunk in front of them and stuff like that. But, you do have to judge the situation, each situation, on its own merit.
What about engaging in flirtatious and sexualised banter with colleagues? What do you think about that one?
It's better to play safe than to actually flirt with somebody, especially if you don't know them very well, and you say something and you could be in trouble and lose your job over it.
So you mean one person's banter is another person's harassment?
Yes.
Yeah, that could be an issue, couldn't it?
Lots of relationships begin in the workplace, and if you're consenting adults and you're single and you're not having the banter within earshot of other people, it's in fact harmless, isn't it?
We had some laughs with this one because some people actually thought, well, what's the harm in it? Consenting adults, single people, it's a fact. Most people meet their partner in the workplace. On the other hand, some people said, there's the issue, it's the workplace.
Behind closed doors, it's probably okay.
But again, it's not very professional.
So you wouldn't do it in front of kids?
No, certainly not, no.
What about in front of other colleagues?
I think it can actually make people feel uncomfortable, so I think we do need to keep I think that in the staff room, everybody should switch off to an extent, but I think that you still need to be professional about it. So having that sort of relationship probably isn't professional. So, you've got after school hours and weekends to
see that through. I don't think it's so necessary during school hours, really, that specific behaviour.
If it's done within the staff room out of children's earshot, and I think it's again of knowing people and being aware of how far you can take things. Is that wrong then to do it? Or then you could run into the danger that you might actually be doing it within the classroom. But if you're out of the earshot of the children away, is that another consideration?
You see what's beginning to happen here? You're starting to make judgments, aren't you? Maybe here, maybe not there. No, I wouldn't do it there. Oh, but I would there, but only if in these conditions. You're starting to make judgments about the context, about where your own values merge with professional values and expectations. It's all about refining judgments, and that's what teachers need to do by sharing values and conferring with their colleagues and their mentors. Not everything will be clear. If you're not sure, ask a colleague, ask a mentor. Teaching is a very collegial profession.